Getting an iPhone that actually understands your voice when you don't speak the normal dumbed down language. That's on my list of my wish list. Or an iPhone or any phone, I'm looking at the Google Plus nowadays, that trains to your system. Come on, a little bit of AI is fine, a little artificial intelligence, little algorithms, no big deal. Slippery slope. All right. In the continuing series of Getting Real to Heal, one of the thoughts is, belief systems are over, isms are outdated. Belief systems are over. Of course, stupid. All we are saying, give truth a chance, give awakening a chance. John Lennon, who I love, of course, super pioneer, but he didn't have it quite right around the whole peace thing. If you worship peace, you'll get violence. Oh my God, Tobias, what are you saying? If you worship peace, i.e. if you're willing to sell your soul to get what you think is peace, or lose your intuition, lose your discriminator, your learn to discern, if you say, we'll do anything for peace, you're going to get violence. That's Neville Chamberlain, the Prime Minister of England, running over to placate Hitler when he invaded the Sudetenland, beginning of World War II, when he was amassing the army. And Mr. Neville Chamberlain, the aristocrat, the very spiritual tall man who's following reason and humanity, right? He runs over to Hitler and gets Hitler to sign a piece of paper, and he comes back. It's a very famous scene. You can look it up on YouTube, where he waves the piece of paper with Hitler's signature. He has promised not to invade anybody else. Total lie. So Neville Chamberlain was worshiping peace. So we got World War II. You can't do that. There's a time for violence. There's a time for hard against hard. You come and do ayahuasca with us, you'll meet the dragons, the bodyguards. I've got some serious bodyguards. Last time I was gang initiated by a bunch of dragons. Dragons have their place. The innocence of the boy makes always friends with a dragon in every movie. Pete's Dragon. Beautiful movie, by the way. Beautiful movie. Go see it. Pete's Dragon. Rent it. Are we ready for a little bit more getting real? Because the disclosures, the realness, is going to keep coming. Lately, there's been a whole thing about Antarctica and UFOs. This may happen soon. It's always soon. Whenever you talk to Spirit, they say, come soon, man. And what does that mean? Because they're operating in a different time place, in a place that actually has no time. So for them, everything is soon. They simply step a little bit that way in space, and they are in that time place. This is why predictions are hard. The beings on the other side, unless they're masters, can't really predict time any better than you can. That's why a lot of channeled material, they'll say it's coming soon. And people go, oh, it's coming now. The UFOs are landing. Jesus is coming in the sky. No. You hearing Spirit might have been accurate, but the Spirit on the other side, unless they're masters, which most beings in the fourth and fifth dimension are not masters, when they tell you coming soon, they don't know. Because space-time for them is time-space. It's inverted on the other side. They walk 3 feet this way, and they go back 100 years. So it looks really close to them. Space-time and time-space get inverted. This is why you have Rip Van Winkle. This is why you have fairy circles where time is lost. You have time bubbles, temporal bubbles in space-time. But I was going to talk about, there may be coming now, lately, on Election Day, Secretary John Kerry is down in Antarctica. Buzz Aldrin's going down there. Prince Andrew. Why is he going down? All of a sudden, a bunch of elites and people sort of on the inside have been taking trips to Antarctica. Buzz Aldrin, second man on the moon with Neil Armstrong, who did see the whole backside of the moon, did see all the bases. It's lit up like Manhattan on the backside of the moon. He had a heart attack while he was just down in Antarctica a few months ago. Wore a t-shirt that said Mars next step. He's openly let it slip. He's a bit of a loose cannon for the whole people, Buzz Aldrin. He actually talks about the monolith on Phobos, on the moon, or I think it's on Phobos, a moon of Jupiter. Disclosure may be coming about these races that have been here a long time before us in our solar system. The Ridley Scott movies disclosed it too. Prometheus, the Alien franchise, but not the not scary part, not the freaky alien, which is how they have to sell it. Now he's trying to do it more a deeper story about Prometheus. Prometheus, the beginning, the beginnings, the beginning God. So, apparently the reason people are going down to Antarctica, by the way, if you want all the details on this, the people that are doing the pioneering work, the yeoman's work, is on Gaia TV with David Wilcock and Corey Good, which resonates great with me. It feels real to me. But if you're interested in all the details. But so, apparently, Antarctica, for instance, the Piri Reis map. Piri Reis was a Turkish sailor in the 1400s who had a very accurate map of South America. Look it up, Piri, P-I-R-I-R-E-I-S, Piri Reis map. Look it up. Perfect, accurately drawn land contours of Antarctica. Back in the 13, 14, 1200s, I forget when, but a long time ago. Obviously copied from earlier maps. It wasn't until the 50s or 60s when we had ground or ice penetrating radar that we could map the coastline of Antarctica. It matches exactly the Piri Reis map from the 1400s because of previous civilizations we've had on Earth. So the reason a bunch of elite people are going down to Antarctica is because they've now discovered 3 ancient crafts and huge cities that have been there a long time, actually. The pre-Adamites is before the flood. The ante meaning before, not anti against. Diluvian, ante the deluge. Nobody knows these words nowadays because of the dumbed down education system we have. In the antediluvian world, before the deluge, there was Atlantis. Several big islands in the Atlantic. One of those islands became Antarctica during the pole shift last time. Now, we've all heard about the mastodons being unfrozen in Siberia with buttercups in their mouths, flash frozen. Well, the same in Antarctica. When Admiral Byrd, the progenitor, the grandfather of our recent Senator Byrd, who retired recently from West Virginia, I think it was, or Virginia, he was an early aviation pioneer, his grandfather, Admiral Byrd. He was a flyer in the Navy, obviously. Well, he did a live broadcast, 1929-25, where radio is a big deal. It's kind of like the moon landing. Don't get into that. Parts of it were obviously filmed in Pasadena. Stanley Kubrick, I get it. Yeah, I agree. But it doesn't mean we didn't go to the moon. Again, hyper-conspiracy, fear porn crap, stay away from it. It's not either or. It's not black and white. It's not either you're with us or against us. Grow past that. It's more nuanced. Learn to discern. Otherwise, you're as bad as Bush. If you're like, well, that means the whole moon landing was faked. No, it doesn't. Get a brain. Get some nuance. Get some discernment. You know, or people throw Jesus totally away because the Flavians made him up. True. In order to get control of Rome. It's true. Obviously, his birthday is not December 25th. But that doesn't mean Jesus didn't exist. Again, it's not either or. It's both and more. It's not either or. It's both and more. It's usually both sides have some truth and there's more to come. It's not that hard. Get over the isms. Get over being stuck in belief systems. Look at the word belief. Be the lie. Be the lie. Be the lie if you attach to belief systems. Whether that's peace. So John Lennon didn't quite get that right. Worshipping the peace, what happened to him? Same with Martin Luther King. He worshipped the peace. What happened to him? Same with Gandhi. What happened to him? He worshipped the peace before the Tao. The closest the Bible gets to is there's a right time for everything under heaven. There's a time for love. There's a time for peace. There's a time to what? To kill. The Tao allows all things under heaven and hell and earth. I don't mean to come off arrogant. I'm just getting a little less patient occasionally. I can go back to nice, sweet, spiritual guy if you want me to. No! All right. Back to Antarctica. So they've now recently discovered 3 30-mile wide ancient spaceships. Now these are not from Atlantis per se, but these are the beings that came into Atlantis that eventually caused the whole downfall. These were the giants. There were giants in the earth in those days. Is the only line the high priest, the high Egyptian priest named Moses, puts in the very, very dumbed down Torah. Because again, he's dealing with people that have been enslaved for, I don't know, 100 years, several hundred years. Of course they're not able to read highfalutin, intense Atlantean super secrets at the Library of Alexandria and with the high priests, which are descended from Atlantis, from Thoth, Hermes Trismegistus. So that's the only line in the Christians have here. It's like, or you know, the Western dumbed down world is, there were giants in the world in those days. By the way, there are giant mounds in Ohio. And there are beings in stasis, these pre-Adamites, meaning before Adam. These giants. When you go to Peru, the gods there were the tall skull boys. They were 10 to 12 to 14 feet tall, and these were several factions of them across the planet. Oh boy, we're going to have our doggies barking at the little doggies here. Hang on. Miley! Come. Stop. Come on. Miley, come. Come, Miley. People walk their little dogs by and it's like cocaine. Come on, Miley. For our Goldens. Anyway, so these giants, there were several factions of the pre-Adamites. They're called the Titans. They're called the Titans by the Greeks, by the way. And me and a friend, a teacher, about 20 some odd years ago, we met the Titans. I know this is going to sound so far out. On the Superstition Mountains, if you come out here to come for spring training for baseball, which is cool, there's some mountains just to the east of Apache Junction there called the Superstition Mountains. The Lost Dutchman, the Apache Cave of Tears. You've heard about it, maybe. They tried to make a TV show about it. Lost Gold, the Apache Gold, Superstition Gold. Anyway, we were out there in the cracks of the worlds. It was part of my training and level of awakening for me into the nature kingdoms, the other dimensions, UFOs, etc. When I was 29, my Saturn returned. When Saturn returns, you usually have either breakdowns or break opens. Big choices in your life at 29 and a half, and then back when you're 58. Ooh, I'm getting up there. Anyway, we met the Titans. We met these giant beings. And they were a very warlike race. It was all about warrior. Like when you read the Greek myths about the Titans. Uranus, Kronos, Atlas. It's about this giant masculinity, fighting, strength, conquer. And we interacted with them for a couple of weeks. There was something that we were showing them about love and letting go of war. They were actually studying us. We weren't teaching them, but the masters that we were working with, they often worked many angles, and they were letting these, because my teacher and I, we were ancient enemies from other lifetimes. So one of the ways you work things out is you marry your enemies, you go business partner with them, which is what we did, and you try to change that old enemy thing into love. So the Titans, also known from the planet Maldek, which is now the asteroid belt, they blew their planet up from war. They built the rings around Saturn. I know this is really far out stuff, but the point is, this year, there might be some drip disclosure about Antarctica. There's a lot of indicators showing that this may actually surface in the collective. But the way they're going to do it, the cabal that runs the world, the people that are invited down there, like Prince Andrew and the royals and different people from around the world in China, to actually see these diggings in Antarctica. But the way they may release it to the public will be first, we found more giant mastodons. We found some ancient habitations. They're going to try to drip it so that they don't scare the sheeple, the cattle. Because if all of a sudden we had CNN, I doubt it, because they're just told completely what to do. Fox is a little better now. Isn't that weird? I used to love CNN and think, there's some balance. Now it's flipped the other way. It's very bizarre. Or any other controlled media. They're just going to do what they're told. But if you saw on TV tonight and everything, live shots of, here's 30-mile wide UFOs, 3 of them, that have been buried under the ice since the last ice age, it would be too much for people. I understand the position of the cabal, the Rockefeller cabals, etc., the Kissinger thing and all that. I understand. They don't want to lose control. They're terrified of it. But all that's going to get exposed. If they if they did that, it would be too much for the people. So they're going to try to do a drip, slow disclosure. Really slow disclosure. So that may be coming this year. But remember, anytime there's managed information, meaning just giving you little drips, it's Joseph Goebbels. It's the propaganda minister for the Nazis. It's control. It's Bernays. It's lie vision. It's telling you a lie with your vision. Television. Tell-lie vision. Tell-lie vision. Television. Anyway, it could be coming. But don't buy the stuff if they just do the drip disclosure. The real deal is, and they're planning on taking 20 years to do this. First, they're just going to say, we found more foundations, civilization is older, blah, blah, blah. But these were all humans. No ETs. But what happened on Maldek 500 million years ago, there's an older race too from Venus, that's 2.3 billion years, that are the Ra people. The Egyptian insertion of Ra and the pyramid and so forth. They're actually 2.3 billion years ago on Venus. I know this is so far out if you're just starting, but I'm just giving a synopsis here. Because it could happen this year. A little bit of disclosure about Antarctica. Again, Corey Good and Wilcock on Gaiam TV are the guys who are doing the research for all this. But it recalled me and my friend meeting these titans, these giants, the giants in the earth those days, 20-some years ago. And this is everywhere. It's in South America. There's giants all over the place. Several factions, the giants break up. But they get wiped out. It's the flood that wipes out the giants. There's giant skeletons all throughout America, Utah. They're red-haired usually, 2 sets of teeth, 6 fingers. This is very real. If you research giants online, you'll find them all over. Catalina Island had 2,000 skeletons. And why is it all being covered up? Because the cabals that have run the world, these are the beings they worship. These are their gods. these giants, these Promethean giants. But they were very warlike, which is why war got brought to Earth as well. Basically what happened, they built the rings around Saturn as a giant Death Star weapon. Is this fucking far out? Yes, I agree. The rings of Saturn have remnants flipping in space, giant remnants for 70-foot tall beings. Giant aluminum, clear aluminum mixed product as walls, and giant chairs and dashboards. Saturn was going to be a pulse weapon that could go through Stargate time, through space-time. And this very violent, warlike race on Maldek, the giant planet that got blown up and became the asteroid belt, were actually going to attack, a la Star Wars, the Death Ray, this Death Star, around Saturn. That's an artificial. The rings around Saturn are artificial. They're debris. They're debris from something they had been building. Well, anyway, because of advanced races in our galaxy, they see beyond space-time, so they saw what Maldekians, if you will, were planning and intercepted them. And because they refused to step down, they blew their planet up. It's just the law of cause and effect. What you put out, you get back. What comes around, goes around. So they were going to start dominating other races in the galaxy, and so the people that really run the galaxy, the good guys, people would call it God, just reversed the beam. It recently happened down in Pine Gap, Australia, too, by the way, where they were trying one of these super beam weapons, and they tried to send it at a certain ship or certain beings, and it immediately got reflected. In the higher spiritual realms, it's immediate reflection. It just, literally what you're throwing at someone turns around and gets you. And in magic, people know this. If you do it for ill, it'll come back at you. So this happened with the Maldekians, the Titans. The Greek stories, they call them the Titans. Saturn, hello, is the god for the Greeks. That's where the weapon was built. Mars, the god of war. Yes, exactly. Mars was a moon of Maldek. And actually, they fought as well. There's a little... And our moon is an artificial escape object that was used by the Maldekians. It's a really cool story. And if I'm losing some of you, I hear you. But if you may remember some of these words, if in the next year or two there's starting to be, some strange Antarctica disclosure stuff. There's more to the story, whatever you're going to be told. And then they escaped from, their planet blew up. It's the asteroid belt today. And a bunch of them got caught for a long time, about 300,000 years, in a horrible astral hell of total fear. By the way, you want to get really far out, part of the Bigfoot thing is actually some of the remnants of these super high-tech Maldekians that had to go all the way back to organic. The pendulum swings all the way. They still have the ability to go in and out of space-time in the 4D, which is why you will have Bigfoot materialize. And I heard about this 30 years ago. The fear complex that the Bigfoot thing was caught in. It's a really fun story. I know I'm doing a lot here. I might be pushing the boundaries. But anyway, so then Mars survives, but half of Mars is peppered like there was a giant explosion, you know? There's a whole bunch of craters and destruction on one side of Mars. So the civilization on Mars continued for a long time until it got destroyed. Mostly. There's still some atmosphere there. And with our secret space program, there's bases on Mars right now. That's why all the movies now are all about Mars. Mars, we're going to Mars, because they're prepping us for that. And then eventually, the races on Mars, even though there's still some indigenous, there's several, there's some underground on Mars currently. It's really a far-out story. They jumped time portal into Atlantis and brought this high tech, and they were the gods of Atlantis. And all the high-tech that went too high-tech. And finally, they used their high-beam weapon, their laser... It's not even lasers, it's beyond that. It's like the HARP project type microwave, but even more. That they used to subdue people on Earth. And when they sent a ray through the middle of the Earth to the Gobi Desert area to control the people over there, because they weren't submitting. Sound familiar? America, the policeman of the world? The exact same story. We're just repeating history. that's when Earth said, okay, that's enough. You're sending like basically horrible rays through my body. I don't like it. And so she shook the whole thing up, sank most of Atlantis. Part of it went down and became Antarctica. That's where we're at. And now, the beings that have worshipped the tall pre-Adamites, the cabal that runs the world, the secret cabals, it's all going to start getting exposed, including the pedophilia rituals that they use to steal energy. It's all going to start getting exposed. But, so you may see some news here with Antarctica, the pre-Adamites, Titans, Maldekians, same people. But there's some of them that are trying to heal it. My friend and I, my teacher and I, we're still good friends. He's kind of staying behind the scenes more. I'm more out here with my face, getting the slings and arrows of attacking my neck for speaking up. We met them. We met the Maldekians, a faction of them, leaders of them who wanted a new way, that realized that war is not the way, that peace is the way, rather love is the way, right? But that includes. So we met with them, one of their leaders, and we joked with him. So how are you going to explain love? So you guys have been doing war for, a million years or so. How are you going to explain it? We're like, good luck. He used to come into Phoenix with us. It's very strange because time-space warp. So he walked in through the door one day. In the etheric, at least for me, I couldn't handle him physical. I've seen these guys also during Aya ceremonies. Ayahuasca. Really cool. I actually saw one of my lifetimes as one of these giants. There were several generations and where they mated with the women. That's the biblical line in there. They looked upon the women and found them interesting and fucked them. I don't think that's exactly, I'm paraphrasing how it says it in the Bible. Let's make man in our image. You got to wade through the stuff. Anyway, I saw one of my lifetimes. It's basically like a red-haired, long... Imagine a Viking, but like Conan, the big Viking king in Conan, the barbarian movie. Long hair. My sword is probably 7 feet long. I actually saw where I'm buried here on Earth. Half of my face is still a mummy. There's a lot to this story. Some of us have participated in the whole story of Earth. Others have stayed Earth spirits. About 15% of humans are not from Earth originally. We're wanderers, starseeds, whatever you want to call it. I'm certainly one of them. All right, so I gave a bunch of info. Look for Antarctica coming up. Whatever they're going to be telling you will be a slow drip disclosure. Remember, there's a much bigger story behind the official story. All right, much love. Be a miracle if all this took.